The stars were quiet, and the Earth's colony ship Harmony's Hope floated gently near a glowing blue planet called Valerian. It was a new world recently found by deep space scanners. No, humans knew little about it only that it had breathable air. Strange lights in the sky, an intelligent life, Commander Liam Cross. The ship's lead diplomat and explorer looked out the window of the command deck. He was a calm man, not one to speak much. He had seen many worlds, but this one felt different. The colors of Valerian danced like a painting, and something deep in his heart told him this mission would not be like the others. Landing shuttle ready. "Sir," said his young officer. Juno Liam nodded. "Let's meet the Valari," the humans had received a message in smooth, melodic tones. The alien voice invited them to land on a crystal bridge near a lake. The message was peaceful. Meeting was planned. Liam stepped into the shuttle, wearing a light exploration suit with no weapons. This was about peace, not war. As the shuttle landed, Liam looked around. The lake shimmered with colors purple, blue, and silver. The bridge was made of clear crystal, like walking on glass. It stretched far over the water, glowing gently under his feet. At the center of the bridge stood someone tall, graceful, and dressed in silver and light blue robes. Her skin was pale with a soft shine, her eyes large and glowing like stars. She had no hair, but a crown of floating light circled above her head. She was Princess Cyrilline of the VAR. Liam stepped forward. She did not speak at first. She only watched him, her hands calm at her sides. The wind moved gently between them. "I am Commander Liam Cross of Earth," he said politely, bowing his head a little. "I know," she said, her voice soft and smooth like water. "I felt you coming." Liam blinked. "You felt me." "We Valari listen to the stars and the hearts that ride between them," she replied. "Your heart speaks loudly." Liam didn't fully understand, but something about her voice made him feel at ease. They began to walk slowly along the bridge. Cyrilline pointed to the skies. "Those lights are our ancestors. They speak in dreams and guide us." Liam nodded. "Earth people look to the stars for answers too, but we use machines, not dreams." She smiled. "That is your way. It is not wrong, only different." They reached the end of the bridge, where a wide platform overlooked the entire lake. Small glowing birds flew in circles, and soft music came from the water itself. It felt like a dream. Liam sat down on a smooth stone bench. Cyrilline sat beside him, though not too close. "Why did you come, really?" she asked, her eyes fixed. "On the stars?" Liam thought for a moment. "Peace, friendship, trade maybe, but also—" He stopped. "Also?" she asked, gently tilting her head. He looked at her. "Also because I feel lonely sometimes, even among my people." She did not laugh. She didn't mock him. She only nodded. "There are many voices in my world," she said, "but few who truly listen. You are not alone in your loneliness." Silence followed. It wasn't awkward. It was peaceful, like both of them understood something unspoken. Night came quickly on Valerian. The stars above grew brighter. The water reflected their light, and the wind became cooler. Liam pulled his coat tighter. He glanced at Cyrilline. She seemed untouched by the cold. "Thank you for meeting me," he said at last. She looked at him. "It is not often that I choose to meet strangers, but your heart called to me." Liam smiled, but looked down at his hands. She stood. "Must return soon. The elders will not allow you to stay the night." He stood as well. Something pulled at his heart. As he looked at her glowing figure under the stars, something slipped from his lips in a quiet whisper. He hadn't meant to say it out loud. "I wish I could marry her." He froze, his face turned red. Had he really said that? Looked away? Quickly, pretending he had said nothing. He assumed she didn't hear. But Cyrilline turned her head slowly toward him. Her eyes glowed softly. She didn't smile, but her expression became thoughtful. She said nothing. Yet the moment passed, and she stepped back. "Return to your people, Commander Cross?" Liam nodded quickly, heart racing. "Of course, thank you again." He walked back to the shuttle, his mind spinning. He had embarrassed himself. She was a princess of an alien race. Why had he said that? As the shuttle rose into the sky, he looked down at the bridge one last time. She was still there, standing alone under the stars. And though he couldn't hear her, she whispered to the wind, "Heard your wish." The next morning, Commander Liam Cross sat in his quiet room aboard Harmony's Hope. He stared out the wide window, watching Valerian's soft clouds roll across the sky. His mind was not on mission reports or trade plans. It was on her princess. Siralini. He could still see her standing on the glowing bridge under the stars. The way she spoke, the calm in her voice, and most of all that strange moment. The whispered words he hadn't meant to say. "I wish I could marry her, ... He had hoped she didn't hear, but the way she had turned her head, maybe she had. A gentle knock came on his door. It was Officer Juno. "Commander, a message from the Valari Royal Court. They've invited you back to the surface. Second meeting." And she hesitated. "The princess asked for you by name." Liam stood up. His heart skipped a beat. "I'll go alone," he said. The shuttle brought him back to Valerian. It's time to the Inner Light Garden, a hidden place deep in the forest. The Valari trees sparkled with tiny lights, and their leaves hummed like soft bells. Liam walked between tall, glowing plants and followed a crystal path until he reached a round, open space in the center. A small fire floated above a silver bolno wood. No smoke, just light. Round it sat Princess Siralini, dressed in a long robe that shimmered like moonlight on water. "You came," she said, her voice soft but clear. Liam nodded slowly. "You called?" She motioned for him to sit, across the fire from her. The warmth was gentle, not hot. The light danced across her pale face. Her glowing eyes never left his. "I heard your whisper last night," she said calmly. Liam froze. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean." She raised one hand. "Not be sorry. On Valerian, we respect truth even when it is spoken quietly." He looked down. "It was foolish." "No," she said. "It was honest." A soft breeze moved through the garden. Small glowing insects floated past, lighting up the night like stars. The fire between them flickered gently. Siralini leaned forward slightly. "I have studied humans for many seasons. I have watched your leaders, your soldiers, your artists. But you are different." Liam blinked. "How so?" "You listen with your heart. You speak without masks. That is rare among your kind." He gave a small laugh. "I've been told I'm strange. Even back on Earth. I like strange," she said. They sat in silence again, but it was a peaceful silence. Not empty, but full of quiet understanding. Siralini looked up at the stars through the trees. "Do you believe love can grow between different worlds?" Liam hesitated. "I want to believe it, but our people may not," she nodded. "My elders have warned me. They say you are short-lived, that human love burns fast and fades." Liam looked into the fire. Maybe that's true. But sometimes the brightest fire only needs one moment to change the dark. She smiled, just a little. "Poetic words, Earthmen." "Maybe I've been reading too much," he said, half-dashed joking. She stood and walked around the fire, slowly. Carefully, she sat beside him. "You whispered your wish," she said. "Now hear mine." Liam turned to look at her. "I wish I could walk among the stars," she said. "I wish I could love freely, not as a princess, but as a person." He saw it in her eyes. Not just wisdom, but longing. She didn't want a throne. She wanted choice. "I don't know what the future holds," Liam said. "But if I had to walk through fire to be with you, I would." She turned to him, closer now. The soft firelight reflected in her eyes. "I am not afraid of fire," she whispered. The moment hung in the air, like a string between two hearts. Then, very gently, she reached out and placed her hand on his. Her skin was warm and light, almost like energy. "I heard your wish," she said again. "And now?" "My answer is yes." Liam's breath caught. He had no words, only feelings. But the soft peace did not last long. Footsteps echoed behind them. A tall Valari noble, dressed in dark robes and covered in glowing symbols, stepped into the clearing. His eyes were hard and his voice sharp. "Princess Seralini," he said, "your presence is required in the Hall of Voices." She stood up. Hand pulling away from Liam's dot, the noble glanced at Liam. "You should return to your ship." This meeting was not approved. Seralini nodded calmly. "I will come. But this meeting was my choice." The noble turned and walked away, before she followed. Seralini looked at Liam one last time. "Do not lose hope," she said softly. "Not all lights go out when the night grows long." And then she was gone. Liam sat alone by the floating fire, his heart full of both joy and fear. He had heard her answer, but now the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Commander Liam cross-paced the hallway of Harmony's Hope, deep in thought. It had been 3 days since he last saw Princess Seralini in the glowing forest garden. He remembered every word, every look, and the way she gently said, "My answer is yes." But now everything had changed. After their meeting, the Valari royal court had stopped all communication. Meetings were cancelled. The once friendly tone in their messages had turned cold. Human command officers began to whisper about tension. "Liam," said Officer Juno, entering the room, "we just received a message from Earth Command. They're ordering a full report on your personal contact with the princess." Liam frowned. "You think I've done something wrong?" She shrugged. "They're worried. A royal alien figure agreeing to bond with a human. It's never happened before. It's political and dangerous." Liam sighed. "But it's not just politics. It's real." Juno gave a small smile. "I believe you, but believing won't stop warships." On the surface of Valerian, Princess Seralini sat in the Hall of Voices, surrounded by glowing pillars and elder nobles. The atmosphere was tense. "You have crossed a sacred line," said Elder Varel, the leader of the council. His voice echoed around the room. "The Valari do not join with those of short-lived, unpredictable species." Seralini stood tall, her voice calm. "The heart does not know years or species. It knows truth." Another elder, a woman named Cirith, shook her head. "You speak like a dreamer. What would our people say if their princess married a human?" "Our traditions would break." Serali looked around the circle of glowing eyes. "If a tradition cannot bend for love, then perhaps it should break." Gasps filled the room. One noble even stood, ready to argue more. But Elder Varel raised his hand. "You will marry the noble Vedran within 1 cycle," he said sharply. "This will repair your honor." Seralin's eyes narrowed. "I will not." "You have no choice." "I always have a choice," she said softly, "even if it costs me my crown." Back on the human ship, Liam received a private message. It had no words, only a symbol, glowing spire over water. He recognized it from a Valari book he had read. "The Mirror Spire," he whispered. He searched through his files and maps. The Mirror Spire was a sacred place, far from the Valari cities, a place where only those who sought truth went. Sent this, it could only mean one thing. She wanted to meet him again. Juno entered as he packed gear into a small exploration bag. "You're leaving, aren't you?" she asked. Liam nodded. "I have to. Command finds out, they can court-martial me later. Right now she needs me." Juno looked at him for a moment, then smiled and tossed him a small invisibility chip. "Then take this. It'll hide your signature for a few hours. Just don't crash." Flying low under the clouds, Liam's small ship dodged patrol drones and weather storms. The journey was rough, but he found the Mirror Spire, an ancient tower made of reflective stone. Standing alone in the middle of a still lake, as he stepped onto the water's edge, he saw her. Princess Seralini, waiting near the base of the tower. Her robe fluttered in the wind, her glowing eyes watching him with hope and worry. "You came," she said. "I would cross galaxies for you," Liam replied. They walked together into the tower. Inside, light bounced from wall to wall, creating soft echoes and rainbow shadows. No guards, no nobles, just them. "I don't have much time," Seralini said. "They are preparing my marriage ceremony." Liam's jaw clenched. You don't have to go through with it. I know, she replied, stepping closer. That's why I called you. Her hand reached for his. He held it tightly. They will. Send soldiers for you if they find out, she said. Then let them come, Liam answered. She smiled. You really are foolish. Only for you. For a moment there was peace. Their foreheads touched gently. It felt like the world had paused, letting two hearts speak. But then, alarms blared from outside the tower. Cyrilini pulled back. They've found us. Red lights flashed in the sky. Valari patrol crafts were circling above. We must go, Liam said, pulling her toward the ship. I'm ready, she said, her voice steady. They ran across the path, water lighting up beneath their feet. Liam helped her into the shuttle and turned the engines on full as they rose into the sky. Two Valari ships followed. I'll lose him in the storm belt, Liam shouted. Cyrilini sat beside him, calm even as clouds shook the ship. Where will we go? Anywhere they won't find us? There are rebel colonies in deep space, places where love isn't illegal. She touched his hand again. Then that is where I belong. The ship disappeared into the storm, chased by the past but flying toward something new in the silence of space. For the first time in history, a human and an alien princess had broken every law, just to be together. The shuttle roared through the storm belt, weaving between massive clouds that seemed to pulse with electricity. Liam gripped the controls, focusing on the flashing red lights that blinked in front of him.
Ow.
The Valari ships were closing in fast, their engines humming with deadly intent. Hold on, Liam said, his voice tight. Princess Cyrilini sat beside him, calm as ever, though her eyes flickered with a mix of fear and hope. She wasn't afraid for herself, she was afraid for them. Both. The rebellion in her eyes was clear. She had made her choice, and now there was no turning back. Liam pushed the throttle harder, sending the shuttle into a sharp dive through the electric storm. Bolts of lightning cracked the sky, but he didn't flinch. He had no time to worry about the storm or the ships chasing them. There was only one thing on his mind: Cyrilline. The sound of the storm outside was deafening, and the shuttle rattled with each violent twist of the air currents. Liam's fingers danced over the controls, flicking switches and pulling levers to keep the shuttle in one piece. The Valari ships, with their sleek designs, were made for this kind of maneuvering. But he was determined to stay one step ahead. We're almost through, Liam muttered, barely able to hear his own voice over the noise. Cyrilini didn't say anything, but she gripped the side of the seat, her expression firm. She wasn't afraid. Her mind was focused on the future, on what they could be, on the freedom they could find together, just as Liam thought they had escaped. A Valari ship shot past them, its weapons glowing with energy. A laser blast streaked by, missing them by inches, but the ship's engines screeched, and Liam's heart leapt into his throat. They were getting closer. Can you lose them? Cyrilini asked, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. I'll try, Liam said, his hands moving with practiced precision. He pushed the shuttle into another sharp turn, sending it into a narrow canyon formed by two massive asteroid fields. The sharp rocks and heavy gravity would make it nearly impossible for the Valari ships to follow. He was right. The first ship hesitated at the mouth of the canyon, its engines struggling to maneuver in the narrow space. The second ship, more cautious, followed, but it, too, was slowed by the sudden shift in terrain. Liam smirked, feeling the rush of success as the Valari ships grew smaller in the distance. He guided the shuttle through the tight space, finally. Coming to a clear, open area of space, the storm belt was behind them. They had made it out, but they were not safe yet. The Valari would be relentless in their pursuit. They couldn't go back to Earth. They couldn't go to Valarian. The only place left to hide was deep space, where few dared to venture. Where do we go now? Cyrilini asked, her eyes never. Leaving the view outside, there are colonies in the outer rim, Liam said. Rebel colonies. They've been hiding from the Valari for years. If we're lucky, they'll help us. Cyrilyn's gaze softened, and she reached out, her hand brushing his. You'd risk everything for me? Liam looked at her, his heart full. I would risk it all for you. The journey through deep space was long and silent. They traveled for days, hiding in the vast, empty stretches of the galaxy. They didn't speak much, but every moment felt full. Every glance, every touch, held meaning. They had escaped the warships, but a new kind of danger was growing between them, the risk of being hunted by not just the Volari, but the entire galaxy. On the 5th day, they arrived at a hidden planet on the edge of the galaxy, surrounded by asteroids and gas clouds. The planet was small, covered in thick forests and deep oceans. It was quiet, peaceful, perfect for hiding. Liam landed the shuttle on a small, open platform that looked like it had been built by someone who didn't want to be found. There were no markings, no lights, just a flat surface surrounded by tall, ancient trees. Cyrillian looked out the window, her expression unreadable. This place, ... it feels different. Like we're not supposed to be here. Liam placed a hand on her shoulder, offering a reassuring smile. We are supposed to be here. We're free. They both stepped out of the shuttle, their feet touching the soft earth. The air smelled fresh, untouched by the pollution of war or politics. For the first time in days, Liam felt a weight lift from his chest. They were alone, hidden away in a place where no one could hurt them. But even as he felt this peace, a part of him knew that it couldn't last forever. The Volari would never stop looking for them. The universe was a vast, dangerous place. And now they had crossed the line. They were fugitives, outlaws. But for now, that didn't matter. They walked together through the forest, the leaves crunching. Under their feet, the sound of birds singing filled the air. It felt like a dream, a beautiful dream. I never thought this would be my life, Cyrillian said quietly, her voice full of wonder. You never thought you'd be free? Liam asked, glancing at her. She smiled softly. I never thought I'd be free with someone like you. Liam's heart skipped a beat. He reached for her hand and she took it without hesitation. For a moment they simply walked together, too. Strangers from different worlds, lost in the beauty of their new life. But even as they walked, Liam knew the truth. Their journey had just begun. The Volari would find them eventually. The galaxy was vast, but it was also full of enemies. Still, they had each other. That was all that mattered. Weeks passed since Liam and Cyrillian had fled to the hidden planet. Their life was simple now, free from the watchful eyes of Volari ships and the oppressive rules of royalty. They woke to the sound of birds, spent their days exploring the dense forests, and slept under the stars without fear. It felt like a dream that neither of them wanted to end. But even in paradise, peace didn't last long. The small rebel colony they had joined was quiet, but not without its own struggles. Hiding from the Volari for years had made the rebels cautious, distrustful of outsiders. They were used to surviving. They didn't welcome change. Liam and Cyrillian had spent a week with the colony before the leaders called them to a meeting. They don't trust us, Liam said as they walked through the small settlement, his voice low. The rebels don't want to risk their lives for someone like me, and certainly not for a Volari princess. Cyrillian looked at him, her expression soft, yet determined. I am not just a princess. I am more than that. I am a person, like you. Liam squeezed her hand. I know, but they might not see it that way. When they arrived at the meeting hall, the leader of the colony, Captain Rin, was waiting for them. Rin was a tall, broad-shouldered man with a scar that ran across his left cheek. His eyes, sharp and calculating, studied them both as they entered. You've been here long enough, Rin said, his voice rough. Your desire for peace? We have our own war to fight. We can't afford to let the Volari find us. You've put us all at risk. Liam stepped forward. We didn't ask for your help. Came because we had no choice. But we don't want to cause more problems. Rin didn't look convinced. I don't care about your reasons. I care about survival. The Volari are a powerful enemy. If they find us, it's over. Cyrillian spoke next, her voice steady but filled with emotion. We're not your enemies. I'm not the enemy. I only want to live freely with the person I love. If that makes me a threat, then so be it. For a moment, the room was silent. Captain Rin stared at Cyrillian, his face unreadable. Finally, he sighed, lowering his gaze. I didn't ask for this either, he said quietly, but I'm not a fool. If the Valari find you here, they will destroy everything. Liam's heart sank. He knew Rin was right. But he couldn't leave. Not now. Not after everything they had been through. We're not asking for a fight, Liam said, his voice firm. We only want to be free, and we'll fight for it if we have to. Rin didn't respond right away. He looked at the floor, thinking. Finally, he nodded. We'll hide you, he said, for now. But if the Valari come, you'll have to leave, and we'll have no choice but to protect ourselves. Liam and Serenity exchanged a glance. It wasn't the perfect answer, but it was something. They had a place to stay, for now. They could build a life here if the universe would let them. The next few days passed without incident. Liam and Serenity settled into their new routine. They helped the rebels repair their ships, gather supplies, and strengthen their defenses. But every day, the fear of discovery lingered like a shadow over them. One night, as they sat by a fire outside the settlement, Serenity turned to Liam, her face illuminated by the flickering flames. Do you ever wonder if we're doing the right thing? She asked softly. Liam looked at her, his heart heavy. I wonder every day. We're running, hiding. Doesn't feel like the life we dreamed of. She smiled a little, her eyes glistening in the firelight. But we're together. That's enough. Liam took her hand. I want more than just enough. I want a life without fear, without hiding. I want to build a future with you. Saralin's eyes filled with sadness. I wish I could give that to you. But the universe is a big place, and not everyone is as kind as the rebels. You're right, Liam said. But we can make our own path. Together. Serenity leaned in, kissing him softly on the lips. It was a kiss full of promise of a future, of love, of defying the universe itself to be together. Just as they pulled away, the ground beneath them shook. Distant rumble echoed through the air. What was that? Liam asked, standing up quickly. I don't know, Serenity said, her voice tense. But it doesn't sound good. They rushed to the settlement, where the rebels were already preparing for something. Rin was standing near the entrance, scanning the horizon through a pair of binoculars. They're coming, he said grimly. Valari warships. Too many to fight. Liam's heart dropped into his stomach. What do? We run, Rin said. Take what you can carry and get to the underground tunnels. The Valari will be here soon. We can't fight them. Liam turned to Serenity. We need to go now. But Serenity shook her head. We can't keep running. We have to make a stand. For us. For all of us. Her eyes were fierce, filled with determination. She had already made up her mind, and Liam could see it. She wasn't just a princess anymore. She was a leader, fighter. Together, they would face whatever came next. The Valari were coming, and they would not bow down without a fight. The ground trembled as the Valari warships descended from the sky, their massive shapes blocking out the stars. The rebel settlement was small, but the defenses they had built were not enough for the oncoming storm. Liam stood at the entrance of the underground tunnels, looking back one last time at Serenity, who stood beside him. Her expression resolute. They're here, she said quietly, her voice filled with a quiet strength. Liam nodded, his mind racing. They had prepared for this moment, but it had come too soon. The Valari were relentless. They had always been relentless. But this time, they weren't just fighting for their lives. They were fighting for something much more precious. Their future. We can't run forever, Liam said, his hand tightening around the blaster at his side. We need to make a stand. Serenity turned to him, her eyes filled with fire. We will. Together. With a final glance at the settlement, they both descended into the tunnels, where the rest of the rebels were preparing for the inevitable battle. The air was thick with tension. Weapons were being checked, armor was being put on, and everyone knew what was coming. No one spoke much. There was nothing left to say. As they reached the meeting room, Captain Rin stepped forward, his face grim, but determined. We don't have much time, he said. The Valari will land in minutes. We need to split into groups. Some of us will hold them off at the entrance while others prepare to evacuate. We're not evacuating, Serlene said firmly. We fight. Rin looked at her, surprised but not displeased. I wasn't planning to run, but we'll need a plan. If we fight, we need a place to fight from. Liam spoke up. The cliffs. Outside the settlement, it's narrow there. If we can draw them in, we can trap them. Rin considered it for a moment. It's risky, but it might work. Serylany stepped forward. Then it's settled. We'll hold them off. We'll give them everything we have. The rebels nodded, gathering their weapons and readying themselves for the battle. Feel the weight of the moment pressing on him. This was no longer just about survival. It was about making a stand, showing that they weren't afraid, that they were more than just fugitives. Outside, the Volari warships began to land, their engines roaring as they touched down with thunderous force. The rebels had taken their positions at the cliffs, hidden in the shadows, waiting. Sound was the wind rustling through the trees and the soft hum of the Volari ships as they powered down. Liam stood beside Serylany, their backs against the cool stone of the cliff. His heart pounded in his chest, but there was no fear, only focus. They had made their choice, and now it was time to fight for it. The first Volari soldiers began to emerge from their ships. Tall, armored figures, their faces obscured by helmets, moving with precision and purpose. They were a perfect machine made for battle, but they weren't. Prepared for what was about to happen, Liam raised his weapon, signaling the others to open fire. The sound of blasters filled the air, echoing off the cliffs as the first wave of Volari soldiers fell. But there were too many. The rebels had firepower, but they didn't have the numbers. Serylany stood beside him, her eyes flashing with determination. She didn't hesitate. She moved with a grace that could only be called otherworldly, using her telepathic abilities to disrupt the Volari soldiers' communications. It gave the rebels a small advantage, but it wouldn't last long. Liam's heart raced as he fired. Another shot, taking down another enemy. The battle was fierce, and the Volari were closing in. The rebels were brave, but they were outmatched. Serylany, Liam called out over the noise of the battle. We need to fall back. No. She shouted back, her voice cutting through the chaos. We fight for what we believe in. We will not run. Liam saw the fire in her eyes. She wasn't just a princess anymore. She was a warrior. She would fight for them. She would fight for him, for their love. As the battle raged on, Liam knew there was no turning back. This wasn't just about them anymore. This was about standing up for everything they had fought for. It was about freedom. It was about love. And it was about showing the universe that they wouldn't be crushed under the weight of tradition or fear, just as the Volari forces seemed to be closing in. The unexpected happened. A distant rumble echoed across the battlefield. Liam looked up, confused. The sound grew louder, and then, from the edge of the cliff, another ship appeared, this one unlike any they had seen before. It was a sleek, advanced craft, its hull shining in the moonlight, bearing the colors of the United Rebellion. It wasn't just any ship. It was the ship of the Rebel Alliance, the largest group in the galaxy, fighting against the Volari. Day had come. They had come for them. The rebel ship opened fire, targeting the Volari warships with powerful laser beams. The Volari soldiers scattered, confused and disoriented by the sudden onslaught. The tide of the battle began to shift in their favor. Liam and Serylany exchanged a look. It was a moment of hope, but it wasn't over yet. The battle still raged on, but now they had reinforcements. Hours later, as the sun began to rise over the battlefield, the Volari forces were finally pushed back. The rebels had won. They had stood their ground, and they had won. Liam stood beside Serylany, looking out at the wreckage of the Volari ships, the bodies of fallen soldiers scattered across the battlefield. The sky was painted with the first light of dawn, and the first time in a long time, Liam felt something he hadn't felt in ages. Hope. Serylany looked up at him. Her face streaked with dirt, but her eyes still shining with strength. We did it. Liam smiled, pulling her close. We did. They had won. But more importantly, they had stood together. They had fought for love, for freedom, and for each other. The galaxy had changed that night. New star had risen one. Born not from power or war, but from love. And as they stood together, Liam whispered the words he had been waiting to say, "I love you." Serelani smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "I love you forever."